Welcome back to Parliament House. As we heard earlier in the program, the government says it doesn't need to put policies in for costing under the Charter of Budget Honesty because they've all been costed ahead of the election. So what will the coalition be doing? To speak about this and the release of the pre-election economic and fiscal outlook, I spoke a short time ago to the Assistant Shadow Treasurer, Matthias Cormann. Matthias Cormann, welcome to Capitol Hill. The pre-election economic and fiscal outlook didn't differ at all from the government's economic update. Do you trust these figures?
Well, what it shows is what a mess the budget is in after 6 years of Labor. $250 billion worth of accumulated deficits, a further deterioration in the budget bottom line to the tune of $33 billion.
But we knew all of that a week and a half ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, but this essentially today, the Treasury's pre-election economic and fiscal outlook confirmed what a mess the budget is in.
So you trust these figures?
Well, I mean, obviously what Treasury themselves have indicated today is that there's still significant downside risk. They've pointed to that. And of course, the other thing that the PFO figures today show is that the government expects to collect another $250 million from the carbon tax, a tax which Kevin Rudd wants people to believe he's actually scrapped.
In fact, PFO says one of the risks to the fiscal position is if the tax rises announced by the government aren't legislated in time. It includes the FBT change, which you oppose, and the tobacco tax increase. Will you support the tobacco tax increase in order to improve the bottom line?
Well, I mean, we've already made very clear that we will not proceed in relation to the fringe benefits tax changes. We think that that was a reckless and irresponsible overnight change in taxation arrangements that has hurt a very important industry for Australia. In relation
to excise?
Well, in relation to some of these other measures, you know that we will be releasing our full suite of policy costings and savings measures in good time before the election. Obviously, now that the pre-election economic and fiscal outlook has been released, we'll study it carefully, we'll assess all of the implications for our own policy costings, and of course in good time, once we've concluded that work, we'll be in a position to release our costings.
What does in good time mean?
Well, in good time means that we will have followed proper, responsible, methodical, structured process. I mean, the Australian people would expect us to consider the figures in today's statement in the same way as we've, of course, considered the figures in Labor's economic statement. We have sought updates in our costings from the Parliamentary Budget Office, of course, when the government released its economic statement. And when all of that work is concluded in a responsible fashion, and when we're in a position to release that information, having dotted all of the I's and crossed all of the T's, we'll be doing it.
So you asked the Parliamentary Budget Office for an update on your policies after the economic statement. That work is already done. You don't have to do it now because of PFO.
That work is in train. We haven't received all of the information back yet, and of course we'll continue to work our way through those processes. And
I thought, though, you didn't trust those government numbers in the economic statement, so why would you ask for an update on policy costings on the basis of them?
Well, we most certainly don't trust Labor's budget bottom line, and if you see how it's tracked in recent years, I mean, I think that you'll agree that we're quite justified in not trusting the government's numbers. But of course, every time that the government Treasury provides updates, I mean, that does have some implications for the costings work that we're doing, and in good time before the election, way sooner than Labor has in previous elections, we will be releasing all of the information that people need in order to form a good judgment.
Will it be way sooner than you did at the last election, which was only a couple of days out from election day?
Well, let's be very clear. I mean, the Labor Party has been incredibly sanctimonious about this in recent weeks. They haven't got anything positive to talk about, either about their record or about their future plans. So they spend 99% of their time attacking Tony Abbott and the coalition. I mean, dare I say, the relentless negativity from the Labor Party has got to stop.
But so you spend time, and your colleagues spend time attacking Labor for putting out costings the day before the election. Last election, your costings were out only a couple of days before the election. Will they be sooner than that?
We're just pointing out the facts. We're pointing out that the Labor Party that is currently out there day in, day out attacking us in the lead up to the last election and the election before that released their costings the day before. And yesterday, we had more chaos from the Labor Party. We had the Prime Minister and the Treasurer at odds about their costings. We had the Treasurer put out there that allegedly all of the costings from the Labor Party, they're all done and dusted. all been released, and we had the Prime Minister say, no, 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 we're going to continue to update our costings as we release more policy. Well, which one is it? The Labour Party is in complete chaos. We will continue to follow proper, methodical, structured process when all of the decisions are made, when we're in a position to release the information in good time before the election, in order to give people enough time to form an informed judgment. We will be releasing all of our costings.
Have all the policies that you will announce during this campaign been put into the Parliamentary Budget Office already?
Well, we've put about 200 odd policies to the Parliamentary Budget Office for costing. Much of that work, of course, has already been received back.
And,
We're
and
still
that is
waiting
all the
for a
policies
series.
you will announce?
Well, I mean, you'll just have to wait and see what all of our announcements are going to be between now and the election. But what I can say to you is that people across Australia, when they see what the work we've done, when they see the cost of all of our policies, when they see all of our proposed savings measures, one, they'll be able to see that the budget bottom line will be better off under the coalition, and two, they'll be able to see that they can have full confidence in the process that we have followed and the methodology that we have followed in order to determine those costings.
When you announce a policy that you have had costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office during this campaign, when you announce the policy, will you at the same time put out the costing from the Parliamentary Budget Office?
Well, I mean, we've already released policy, and you've seen the policies that we've released. But
if you've had them costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office, why not put out that costing at the same time as you put out your policy?
We will release a detailed list of the cost of all of our policies. We will release a detailed list of all of our savings measures at good time, in good time before the next election, and people will be able to see that the budget bottom line will be better off as a result of our policies and our savings taken together than what it would be under Labor.
Will you put out at all any of the costings that have been done by the Parliamentary Budget Office?
Well, I've just said to you, we will be releasing the full list of costings in relation to all of the policies that we're taking to these elections. We'll be releasing the full list of savings. People will be able to see that as a result of our policies and our savings measures, the budget bottom line will be better off under the coalition than what it would be under the Labor Party.
But the document you get back from the Parliamentary Budget Office with their costing of your policies, will that document see the light of day?
Well, you should wait and see until we are releasing all of our costings in relation to all of our policies and our savings, and people will be able to form a good judgment on the credibility and the integrity of the processes that we have followed.
Now, just a couple of days before the election was called, the Coalition announced a change in its attitude towards the education policy, saying it would for 4 years implement the deals the government had done with 7 of the 10 jurisdictions. Was that policy costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office? Did that policy go into the PBO for costing?
I mean, that is obviously something that's been costed by the government, and I'm sure that they're not going to be disputing this. Over the forward estimates, of course, the cost of that policy, there's a serious question mark in relation to this, and in particular in relation to the implications on the budget bottom line in relation to costs from that policy in relation to Western Australia and Queensland in particular. And we've asked for clarification from the government as to what the actual budget implications of that are going to be, and we'll look forward to getting that clarification.
And finally, you haven't announced your full paid parental leave policy. When you do, will it be delayed, the implementation be delayed until the 3rd year of a first term of a coalition government?
Well, you are now asking me to announce the detail of the paid parental leave scheme. I resist that temptation. Tony Abbott and others will be releasing the paid parental leave scheme, a fair income paid parental leave scheme soon. It's an important economic reform for Australia. It'll help us grow productivity more strongly. It'll help us lift workforce participation by women. When all of the detail has been released by Tony Abbott, I'm very happy to come and talk to you about it.
One final question. Have you, since the election was called, have you put any policies into the Parliamentary Budget Office for costing?
Well, obviously these are matters for Joe Hockey to confirm once we are releasing all of the costings.
Because he criticised, and Andrew Robb criticised Labor for not putting any policies into Treasury for costing.
Well, I mean, hang on. We've put 200 odd policies to the Parliamentary Budget Office for costings. And I mean, as I've said to you, once we release the full list of costings for all of our policies and all of our savings, people will be able to see that the budget is going to be better off, the budget bottom line is going to be better off as a result, and they will be able to see that the process and the methodology that we have followed has got credibility and integrity.
Matthias Cormann, thank you very much for your time.
Always good to